Hi there. Welcome to Bible Slash Chat. Chris,
Hello.
hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Oh,
moving the
sorry.
microphone a little closer to you.
Yep, sorry.
So we have some rules here at Bible Slash Chat. Number one, we have one microphone for both of us. So you have to lean kind of forward and look awkward. And number two, you can't touch the table because it wobbles the camera. It's high-end stuff we got going on here.
Yeah, we're moving up.
We're moving up.
Moving up in the world.
Hey, so I had a question for you. You have been playing on the worship band for a long time. Do you remember the first year you played?
I don't remember the year. I think I might have been like 19 or something.
19.
Maybe
Young.
18. I was young.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I started in youth group
Okay.
when I was 13.
Okay. Started playing in youth group, playing worship in youth group, played for a while, and you played in the service since you were 19 or 20.
Yeah, so I think I might have been like 18 or something.
Okay.
I think I was still in high school. I think I might have been a senior in high school.
Okay. So like 12, 13 years, give or take.
Yeah, took a little bit of a hiatus for
Yeah.
about a year and a half.
And just off and on.
And then pretty much just sort of slowly was moved back into the position of playing guitar.
Okay. So basically since 2012. give or take.
Arguably, yeah, give or take.
Something like that.
There's been a few like dips in there where I didn't play, but yeah, for the most part, I'd say about 2012.
Okay.
That's a good round.
So you have lots of experience playing guitar in the band.
Yeah, I got some.
And in various bands, because you played in youth group, you played in church.
Yeah.
You played in young adults group.
Yeah.
Played in care group at various points.
Yeah.
Just playing a ton of guitar, leading a lot of worship, and sometimes you lead worship for us at church. So
that's another role I got forced into.
yeah, I got forced into. You got voluntold.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to lead worship? Great.
Yeah. I was told it's that, or we're not going to have any music on Sunday.
Well, that's true. We can just do a cappella. We can figure that out. Okay. So playing guitar, as a guitarist in the band, a couple questions for you. Number one, what are you thinking when you're playing?
Most of the time, this would be really embarrassing if I mess up. So don't mess it up.
Okay.
But
Beyond so you want to do it well, right? You don't want to make mistakes.
Genuinely, yeah. It's a weird form of service because you have to have, they say, it's the servant's heart. So
Yeah.
they say basically the same guy who would stack the chairs and have no problem with it.
Totally.
But you also essentially you have to actually have like some talent to bring to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unique in that way.
Yeah, because it's actually like a gift. It's an ability to do something.
And it's one of those things where, in the same way, if you can, as our preacher, if you cannot public speak, and you're just stuttering and fainting the whole time, that wouldn't make what you would call a gifted preacher.
Yeah, totally. Preaching
so
is
in the
not
same in the same way, it's if I'm not a musician,
you can't. It's just not the place to serve. Yeah.
It's
So why is it important? I mean, just like thinking about the congregation, because I'm sitting in the pew.
Yeah.
Why is it important that like you're a musician, you're not making mistakes? Like, what's the key to that?
I mean, I think a big part of it is genuinely, if you're just fumbling constantly, you're always making mistakes. You could throw the whole band off.
Okay.
That is very doable.
Okay.
I mean, not so much on electric. Most people don't have me in their monitors. So
Yeah.
if I mess up, no one usually knows. But maybe like a more crucial, like if I'm playing acoustic and I'm carrying sort of the main, like one of the main rhythmic sections.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pierce on bass and my dad on drums.
Yeah.
It is genuinely important to practice and play it well for multiple reasons. One, like I said, you can mess up the band. Also, genuinely, it's just a distraction.
Okay.
If you mess up bad enough, it really kind of throws the whole worship set off.
Yeah.
And not even like, I'm not even speaking from a band point of view, but even congregationally.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
It really comes down to you got to have a heart that realizes we are serving the congregation right now.
Yeah, totally.
And not only that, it's even comes down to showing when we show up early to practice. Really, it's the first people of the church I'm serving are actually my fellow bandmates.
Yeah.
I have an obligation to know what I'm doing for their sake as well.
Yeah.
I'm there to serve them as much as I am to serve the congregation in that way.
Totally, yeah. Okay, so like even just like what you're saying there, so like structurally, there's this personal ability to do something,
Yeah.
and then built on that is a service to the band and the congregation, so that ultimately the goal is that there's not distraction in the worship.
Yeah.
So the goal of all that you're building this pyramid of like skill, ability, service, all those things, you put them all together.
Yeah.
All with the intention that the congregation is worshiping without distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
it really is. It's one of those things where it's like you got to bring a lot of your own ability to the table, and at the same time, it means literally nothing.
Yeah.
It's the whole point is the service. The whole Sunday service is a worship service.
Yeah.
From the call to worship to singing to the preaching down to the benediction, all of it.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things where you kind of just have to think nothing of your own talent in that sense.
Yeah,
and just be like, we're here to do a service.
Yeah. So everything I'm doing is intended to serve ultimately the congregation as the congregation worships Christ.
Yes.
So in the truest sense, you're serving me so that I'm able to worship Jesus.
You're welcome.
Without thinking about you. Isn't that cool?
I mean,
same is true of me, actually.
You could think about me if you want.
I don't.
I
usually sing with my eyes closed.
I think about me.
I think I'm nice. Oh, my stars. So so like a couple things there. One is, so that's actually a heart attitude. That's not so much, because you could have that totally broken and not be thinking about that stuff, which I mean is like really healthy to think that way, but that could be totally broken and be thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
And not actually be doing well in terms of like leading the congregation into worship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like at the end of the day,
it's also, so it is very personal.
It's totally personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild because it's a personal thing being done in a group to serve a larger group.
Yeah.
Yeah, that chair squeaks. Sorry.
It's all good.
It squeaks on tune though. Just kidding.
Okay.
Okay. So then as a question, I mean, that's super helpful. I think actually that's true of all service. Peter says in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 11, he says, whoever speaks should do it as the oracles of God. And in verse 10, he says, whoever serves, serve with the strength that God supplies, so that God gets glory in everything. So you have this idea, like all of us are working to that end, that God is glorified in the church. So I have a couple questions. First one is, if you're talking to someone and they're like, hey, I like guitar, I like the idea of worship, I like the idea of like serving, and I want to do that, how would you counsel them? What would you tell them to do?
Talk to Enoch.
I mean, yeah.
Be like, sorry, that's just above my pay grade.
But if you have someone who's like, I play guitar, I want to learn to do better, I want to do better, what's the first most basic principle?
I mean, I would honestly just say at that point, I'd say start practicing worship songs in general.
Okay.
Just get fluent with that, because it's one of those things where, you don't want to wait till you're at the point where the Lord's kind of leading you that direction, where you're being called to provide worship music for a congregation.
Yeah. And
you're kind of going in blind.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's good.
It's the pitcher not warming up before he goes and pitches in the game.
Yeah,
you're totally. Just sort of, you could do it, but you're opening a door for trouble.
Yeah, injury. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
So I think just on a practical level,
practice.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah,
definitely. Because like I said, it is one of those things you have to bring talent to the table, and you got to practice to get that.
Totally. So a guy's heart is like, hey, I want to honor Christ. I want to bless the congregation. I want to serve him. I want Christ to be glorified. So his heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
The first practical step you tell him is start practicing.
I would say, practice, and then you just need to get in the habit anyways, because you're going to be practicing on your own anyways. Yeah. That's just how it is. I mean, my dad does it. I do it. The rest of the band I know for sure does it.
Yeah. Everyone's practicing
on their own. Even the vocalists are practicing their harmonies and their melodies on their own. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of those things that has to be done. I mean, it's just that extra. It's like you prepping for a sermon versus flying blind.
Totally, 100%.
It's just there's a lot of own time required.
Yeah, and just there's work that goes into that.
And then I think another practical thing too, and I know Enoch would agree with me on this, is, don't just be gung ho of like, well, I play an instrument, therefore I need to play on the worship band.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concern with that out of the gate. I would say it's, because a lot of people, I think there's a struggle, maybe a temptation for my 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah, totally.
You do get attention from it.
Yeah, totally.
You will always have that fear of man temptation. Like I said, I've been doing this since roughly 2000. Well, since I was 13.
Yeah,
totally.
So
I'm 31 right now.
Yeah.
So, and there's still a temptation every time, and there's still usually I have to repent every time.
Yeah.
I go.
That's awesome.
Up to lead, whether I'm leading or just playing guitar.
Yeah, I tell people all the time I repent on my way up the stairs every Sunday.
Yeah, because there's this fear of man as well, and not fear of man of just like I have stage fright.
Yeah.
There is that. There's always sort of that the little stage fright nervousness sometimes, but then at the same time, just the desire for your own glory.
Yeah, totally.
So. Yeah, that's always, you're kind of always battling yourself in that sense.
Totally.
So I think that going back to what I was originally saying, practically speaking, I would say do something to serve the band first.
Yeah.
Basically.
Something that's non-public.
Exactly. I basically just rolled out cables and I set up the stage and I tore it down.
Yeah.
And every week, that's what I did. That was my thing.
You still have an FBC roadie t-shirt.
I do.
Yeah, you are the roadie.
I bring it out from time to time. Tammy Harrison made that for
That's
me.
So cool. Yeah.
And, I was a guy who transported all the equipment to when we were meeting down in San Diego for family camp.
Yeah.
Or setting it up for VBS. Or, I think it was other people had taken over by the time we had started our Awana program. But, or women's ministry, whatever it is. That was just sort of what I did. That was my thing. I was like, well, I'm not good at tech stuff, so I'd probably be more of a burden than a server.
Yeah.
But I was like, but I know cabling. I've been doing, we're in music equipment pretty much the majority of my life. So I'm like, I can handle equipment. I know how to do that. I'd be able to help in that area.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a better way to start. And I think and honestly, it kind of like weeds it out a little bit too.
Yeah, totally.
It just gives Enoch a chance to even really observe someone and find out, hey, are they actually have a heart of service or do they just want glory?
Yeah, totally. Which is interesting because even the guy who's serving behind the scenes in that case is using a gift or a talent to, at the end of the day, glorify Christ. So you want to see, is this guy willing to serve, even if he doesn't get like FaceTime in front of people?
Yeah.
He wants to serve for the glory of Christ. And then you're actually checking that motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where maybe they're not directly serving the entire congregation like we who are on the bands are doing. They're more passively serving the congregation by directly serving us on the worship team.
Yeah.
So that basically we can serve the church.
Totally.
You see, that makes sense. Like
100%.
More of a
totally.
passive service. Yeah.
Totally. Makes sense.
But it is ultimately, it's, the heart has to be, I want to serve the church in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. For the glory of Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super helpful.
And
so in that case, it's actually, that's interesting. So you would practically advise a guy, hey, like just guard your heart with your motives.
Yeah.
Go and serve in a passive way.
Yeah.
Go and serve in that back way.
Yeah.
Before
it's easy to fake it. If you have just talent and no heart of service, you could still play on the worship team and people would still be like, oh,
that was great.
You're great. Yeah. You're a great bass player. Yeah. That's the compliment I get a lot.
But you don't play bass.
No, I don't. That's all right.
No, that's good. Yeah, you can fake it, right?
Yeah, like you can totally fake it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. This will be my last question. If you could choose acoustic,
one person to
or
kick
electric.
Out of the band?
No, exactly. Not that. No. Acoustic or electric? What would you choose?
Oh.
If you had to choose.
If I had to choose, I'd probably go electric.
You go electric.
I mean, I really have enjoyed playing my acoustic for about the past year or so.
Yeah.
But I've been playing electric the past few weeks, and I do genuinely, I
missed it. You missed it. Yeah.
I've been an electric player pretty much my entire guitar playing life.
Yeah.
So I do genuinely love playing electric guitar. It's really fun.
That's good. Well, hey, thank you for serving the church. Thank you for serving Christ. Thank you for serving me. And that's the enjoyment I get of worshiping Christ is with the church body. So we appreciate it. Well, I hope that's helpful for you. Nice. I hope that's helpful for you. If you have questions on this or any other topic, you can always email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.